According to OSHA Regulation 29 CFR 1926.951, which addresses pole lines, climbing, and working, there are guidelines for working on poles or structures supporting electrical circuits. Paragraph code states that, except as provided in paragraph C2 through C4, no employee shall be permitted to climb or work on any pole or structure which is used for supporting or containing electrical circuits unless firstly, the pole or structure is protected by an insulated barrier not less than 2 feet below the conductors or other energized electrical equipment being worked on, except where the employer can demonstrate that no other feasible means of fall protection will work, and secondly, when not using the insulated barrier, the pole is made of wood or covered with a material equivalent to wood, and is not a conductor of electricity. Paragraph K of this section does not apply to poles or structures used for supporting overhead trolley wires with less than 300 volts between phases, as per paragraph C2. Paragraph K of this section does not apply where employees are working on conductors or other energized electrical equipment, provided they are protected from contact with other electrical conductors by suitable protective clothing or equipment, including, but not limited to, rubber gloves, rubber sleeves, and rubber blankets, or by insulated tools, according to paragraph C3. Furthermore, paragraph K of this section does not apply to work on uninsulated overhead lines, provided that competent precautions are taken to prevent employees from contacting such lines or equipment, as specified in paragraph C4. This OSHA regulation focuses on worker safety during pole climbing and electrical work. It requires insulated barriers or wooden poles to protect workers from energized circuits. Exceptions are made for trolley wires under 300 volts, workers using protective gear, and work on uninsulated lines with precautions. Insulated barriers are required to be no less than 2 feet below the conductors or other energized electrical equipment being worked on, unless no other feasible means of fall protection will work. When insulated barriers are not in use, the pole should be made of wood or wood equivalent to avoid conducting electricity. For trolley wires operating at less than 300 volts between phases, the insulated barrier requirement does not apply. If employees are directly working on energized conductors or equipment, they must be protected by suitable protective clothing or equipment such as rubber gloves, rubber sleeves, rubber blankets, or insulated tools. When working on uninsulated overhead lines, competent precautions are necessary to prevent employee contact with the lines or equipment. The regulations highlight the importance of minimizing electrical hazards and providing appropriate protection to workers in potentially dangerous environments. Employers have a responsibility to ensure workers are properly trained and equipped to handle electrical work safely, following all relevant guidelines and precautions. These OSHA regulations do not specifically address the legality of using rigid conduit as a riser material within 5 feet of a transformer or quadruplex wire. However, they provide a framework for safe work practices around electrical equipment and overhead lines, emphasizing insulation, barriers, and personal protective equipment.